What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. And I'll put a link to this article from CBS News in the pinned comment in the comment section below. The White House will establish a national monument honoring Emmett Till, the 14-year-old Chicago boy whose abduction, torture, and lynching in 1955 while visiting family in Mississippi played a role in sparking the civil rights movement, and his late mother will also be honored. CBS News has learned that President Biden will sign a proclamation on Tuesday, the 82nd anniversary of Till's birth, establishing the Emmett Till and Mamie Till Mobley National Monument. The monument will be located across 3 sites in Mississippi and Illinois. CBS News learned one will be located in the Roberts Temple Church of God in Christ in the Chicago Southside neighborhood of Bronzeville, where Till's killing was mourned in September 1955. The second site will be at Graball Landing, Mississippi, where Till's body was discovered in the Tallahatchie River. The third will be in the Tallahatchie County Second District Courthouse in Sumner, Mississippi, where Till's suspected killers were acquitted by an all-white jury less than a month after his brutal murder. We don't need to rehash the events. It happened in 1955. We know what happened. They massacred that young man. The individuals that committed the crime got away with it, admitted it, and were never brought to justice for their crimes. And the woman who falsely accused Emmett Till got to live her life. She was a 21-year-old young woman at the time. She got to live nearly 90 years. She lived to be 88. She just recently died. Carolyn Bryant. And I find it very telling that they waited until she died, unscathed, unpunished. Her husband, the husband's brother, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the relation. All the other individuals who were tied to this unspeakable crime never were brought to justice. Never. Never. And you wait until this woman dies to bring up a trophy, a statue. Look, that's fine and all, but where's the justice? I'm insulted by this. Emmett Till's mother lived the rest of her life. She died 20 years ago, if my memory serves me correctly, at age 81, I think it was. But she lived the rest of her life seeking justice for the death of her son, the brutal death. I mean, I think people gotta understand what they did to this kid. They kidnapped him. And yeah, there were co-conspirators who were the same color as Emmett Till, but the individuals who committed the crime, they beat this boy senselessly. These were 2 grown-ass, burly men. He was a somewhat smallish 14-year-old. Wasn't big at all. They beat this boy to a fucking pulp. Beat him to death. Or near death. Then I believe they hanged him, if I remember correctly. And when I say they beat this kid, his eyeball was hanging out of his head. A child. I don't know what's wrong with people today. I really don't get it. Fuck a goddamn statue. I don't care about, who cares about a statue? They bragged about it. And what was it? Look magazine. They admitted that they committed this crime, and nothing happened. Nothing. Things go on all the time, and nothing happens as far as retribution. Fred Hampton, not to just talk about somebody else, but Fred Hampton, his life was taken away from him in a conspiracy led with Chicago police and I believe the FBI. And to this day, police officers in that area riddle his grave with bullets. When Dr. King began to realize that he led his people into, as he put it, a burning house, when he realized that economic empowerment was the way to go, not just to be honored to sit on the same toilet as other people. When he began speaking out against the war, but he began to become more militant, he had to go. When Malcolm X began to speak not just of black nationalism, but Pan-Africanism, the unification of all black races as far as empowerment, he had to go. And I wish people would see how things are operated and operating. I know a lot of people don't like when I talk like this. Oh man, can you just make the funny voices and all of that? Yeah, I like being funny. But there's a seriousness in life. And I'm sorry, but this president right here, he's not it, man. He's not it. And to be quite honest with you, I find it very insulting. This is the same man that about 20 years ago right now, shout out to Mr. Max, I saw your video on this. About 20 years ago right now, this guy was eulogizing J. Strom Thurmond, one of the biggest segregationists this country has ever seen. Ran for president in 1948 on the Dixiecrat slate, a Dixiecrat ticket, I meant. And the reason why he and the Dixiecrats bolted was because Harry Truman, who was running for the presidency in his own right in 1948, he and the growing in power liberal wing of the Democratic Party insisted on a civil rights plank. And for the first time in their convention, they talked about the need for African Americans to, or Negroes as they put it back then, to have the same basic rights as all Americans. Oh, that's too much. We can't have all this riled up of the Negroes. So J. Strom Thurmond ran, won 5 states. What was it, 4 states or 5 states? I know he won South Carolina, Georgia, I think Alabama. I think he won South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. I think he won 5 states. But anyway, you know, one of the biggest races, and Joe Biden was allied with that wing of the Democratic Party and later the Republicans. And it's just, I don't want to even go down this road. It just pisses me off. So that's how I feel about it. You know, it's a nice gesture, but you conveniently wait until the last link to Emmett Till's crime passes away, and now all of a sudden you're putting up these statues. You know, it is what it is.